Great finds today. I've assembled some older items to look at and to go over. Now, just because something is old does not mean it's valuable, but that also doesn't mean that it's not interesting and can give you a perspective on history and just broaden your horizons and about people in their times. One of these items is worth more than probably all these items together if it was in better shape. Now, the oldest item we have here is an old newspaper. You can see this newspaper has damage. It's not in good shape. It is from the Cleveland Plain Dealer. This is from April 3rd, 1917. It's 103 years old. I thought it was interesting with the want ads. These are want ads that you won't see today. They did it a little bit different back then. Anyone who did these ads is no longer with us. But you can see that you have male laborers. They wanted males. They wanted line cutters, machinists, salesmen, night watchmen, office boy. There's a lot. There seems to be quite a few for office boy. I don't know what an office boy is. Or what? Oh, office boy, 16 years. You have to be bright and ambitious. And call between 9 and 10 a.m. And it looks like it's for a younger person, obviously. Office boy. Office work. Maybe you go from office boy to office work. Operators, setters, solicitors. That's just a fancy name for a salesman. This one just wants men. Men. Young man, 17 to 18. That's pretty specific. To work in the shipping department. Good wages to start. We're not going to tell you what it is. Just give us a call and come work for us. Men, young, 5 Hungarian, Slavish, also 5 Polish, Croatian speaking as agents. So when they had a lot of immigrants, obviously they had some different languages that they needed to go through, and they needed help with that. So I thought that was pretty interesting, actually. Now we also have jobs for the females. Here's a girl to answer a phone. That's a great job. Housework, stenographer, saleswoman. There's all kinds of jobs. Now, there is some factory jobs. There's a typist, a lot of housework. This is interesting. They want an attractive young lady to demonstrate fountain pens. This is before the invention of the ballpoint pen, by the way. Must be able to write fairly well. You don't have to write that well, just fairly well. It says nothing about spelling or anything. But attractive young lady, you will not see that ad in the paper. Now, this one's looking for a Protestant woman for 4 hours a day each week for housework. So you have to be a Protestant to clean this person's home. I don't know if they were Protestant or it was a Catholic, maybe wanted a Protestant cleaning their home. I don't know. But it's just interesting there. A young American girl as mother, helper, just kind of interesting. There's, of course, ragtime. It's 20 lessons. I don't know if this is job's more of a office assistant, young lady, about 20 years. Experience or training in bookkeeping. This is just, there's girls for factory work, girls for filing. Girls, young for office work. When you look at these, they seem, here's one, $17 a week. I don't know if that was a good wage or not, but for light factory work in a city 50 miles away, they didn't have highways back then. Steady work under ideal conditions, half holiday, foreign girls acceptable. So this was a time, especially during the teens, where we had a lot of immigrants. And that's why you're looking for, of course, some people who knew different languages. And they actually said foreign girls acceptable, which is just interesting in itself. Just a part of history. Souvenir, Chicago World's Fair, 1933. This would appeal to, train enthusiasts as well as, World's Fair. This is a little booklet. See the dates. Chicago, if you like Chicago. It's a government, but I've never seen that building. I've been to Chicago. I don't know if it was ever built. Let's see, they've just, that is interesting. Some notes here. Must be when they get there. So Christopher Columbus was born. There's not a lot of notes in here. Sometimes you find these are all filled out. They make for interesting reading. Doesn't look like this person probably got to the fair and decided not to write anymore. But it's not worth as much money, but it's pretty cool. Now this is a Shirley Temple Darling doll. This is a pin that went on a doll, a Shirley Temple doll. At one time, she was probably the most famous child actor on the planet. Everyone would have known who Shirley Temple was. You'd be hard-pressed to find someone under 30 who even knows who Shirley Temple is. So the collectors of these types of items are no longer collecting, as we should say. And so the value on these has gone down a little bit. Doesn't mean they're not interesting, they're not cool, but they're not part of history. Now, the other thing I have here, I think, speaking of Chicago, is a billy club. Now, this is a billy club. This was carried by police officers all over the world. This was to persuade you enthusiastically from not committing a crime. And in the UK, this is where these started. They didn't carry guns. They just carried these things. And I'm sure getting hit with this would get your attention. There's different, they have collapsible batons now. It's a non-lethal weapon, but it was definitely an attention getter. I couldn't find why it was called a billy club. I don't know if Billy was the first one hit with it. There's different stories that you can find about it. Bully club, the etymology is all over the place, but whatever it was, I would not want to ever be hit with it. Now, the other thing I have here is a Bible, and I wanted to talk about this Bible because this is a presentation Bible, so this is from the Order of the Eastern Star. You see it's a Holy Bible. It's probably monogram there. That is the symbol for the Eastern Star. If you don't know what the Eastern Star is, it is the women's auxiliary, so to speak, of the Freemasons, the men's organization. This is a collector piece for maybe a fraternal organizations or Eastern Star. It is white Moroccan grain with gold edges and overlapping. Probably cost someone a lot. Now, we get people all the time and they say, well, I have this old Bible. It's really, really old. You do not have an old Bible. The Bible is 2,000 years old. Unless you have the Dead Sea Scrolls, you do not have an old Bible. So anyway, just because you think Grandpa and Grandma are old, that doesn't mean they're antiques. They're not that old in the grand scheme, especially of the Bible. Now, we also get some handmade items, and some of those are very cool. This is something again. It's made of slate. It looks homemade. Please use the door knocker. This is something someone hung at their house. This looks like a trick to me. This looks like a serial killer did this. Please come up to the door. I bet you they got no solicitors. I mean, I would almost be afraid to hang this on my house. But someone did. Ended up in a box. Ended up here at Great Finds. It's interesting, but it's a little creepy. Now, last thing we have here is a cat stackable puzzle. This cat stackable puzzle, it's Greek. It's from the 50s or 60s. It's a really cool item, mid-century modern. It looks good on a shelf. It's actually a puzzle. You can take this off. Its head comes off. And all these. Now, the paint has chipped off here, right here. I'm sure there's a child that got a lot of lead poisoning off that one. These look pretty good. And it looks like all the paint is off this one. In good shape. These can sell for $40 or $50. The puzzle isn't that hard. I'm going to try and do it. I feel confident. It's not the Rubik's Cube. Yep, first time. Anyway, the cat stacking cats, wood, looks cool on a shelf. Maybe you can fix it so his head doesn't show that. Anyway, just some interesting items, some historical items, and kind of a creepy item. That would look cool in your house. Bibles. They are the most printed book ever. And if you don't have the Dead Sea Scrolls, you do not have a first edition. World's Fair. Cool. Shirley Temple. Awesome. Maybe not as collectible. A billy club. That would get anyone's attention. And of course, the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Just an old newspaper. Not worth a lot of money. interesting to read, some of the ads. And yes, they even had taxes back then. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, share, tell someone you know, and thanks.